Welcome to SuperTalk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome to SuperTalk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode 164. I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, my illustrious co-host, Titanium Tony Estrella.
Top of the morning to you, laddie.
Yeah, top of
the morning to you, you little shamrock.
I wish I heard somebody actually say that when I was over there, but never heard that.
For those that don't know, the professor just got back from Ireland, a little golf getaway last week.
Yeah, we want to apologize to the audience. I did see the Fantastic Four the day before I left for Ireland. You were in San Diego for Comic-Con on the day that the movie came out, but I did see it that Friday before heading over to the other side of the pond. And you were able to see it when you got back from San Diego. Yeah. And so we've been sitting on this for, roughly a week. But we're here with our review finally. So we'll be reviewing the movie and giving you our thoughts and impressions of Fantastic Four and a few other things we need to talk through and review. But you ready? Let's jump right into it.
Yeah. Let's jump right in.
So the first order of business, we'll jump right into the reviews. And the first review we need to get into is Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So Titanium left the Thursday morning of Comic-Con, arrived in San Diego, and was there for the weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this year because I was heading to Ireland on Saturday.
You were there in spirit.
I was. We were chatting back and forth as you were there. But so, I mean, it's hard, I'm sure, to compare your experience this year to the last year being our first time at Comic-Con and everything we got to do with Deadpool and Wolverine, the special screening and everything. It was really kind of a unique situation for us. And I know this year was very different for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
But I do want to hear your experience. So what do you think?
So last year, unbelievable experience that we had.
Yeah.
It was almost like everything was firing on all cylinders for last year. This year couldn't hold a candle to last year. And I'm not just saying that because I was by myself. I tried to do as much as possible by myself. It's exhausting days walking around, sure. But I will say it was, my opinion, it was way more crowded.
Really?
First of all,
because I thought last year was super crowded.
No,
it was more crowded this year.
I think it was more crowded this year than it was last year.
Wow. Considering how many studios chose to skip Comic-Con this year, I would have thought it would have been less crowded.
Exactly what I would thought. Exactly where my head was is that knowing that the studios and even with DC there, a very limited presentation for them. They only had a panel of Peacemaker. They didn't even show any clips of Lantern or anything upcoming. No Supergirl clips or anything. So very limited with even DC being there and Marvel skipping completely out of it. No Thursday night preview of Fantastic Four, which we were kind of hoping they would do the same thing they did with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Missed
they did
an opportunity.
Not do that.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity. I did swing by several times Hall H lines. They've redesigned that and they've locked that down a little bit better. As far as like people getting in and waiting in that area. Remember that area that people were
so there was the actual queue itself of people lined up properly to get in. And then there was just kind of this open area that people would just hang out at, and when the doors would open, they would just sneak their way in.
Yeah,
and
so they've kind of curtailed that a little bit. But yeah, a lot more people, like way more crowded. At one point, I could not move on the floor, getting through. And had to jump into the hallway to move down a little bit and then cut back in.
Because there was just so many people.
So many people. Met an online influencer and a movie reviewer named Juju. He goes by the name Straw Hat Goofy. That's his title on TikTok and his other stuff. Such a nice guy. Huge following, massive following. He's one of those guys that gets invited to all uh, the
The
early
insider
screenings.
screenings and
He's
stuff. Yeah.
absolutely insider. He interviews some of the big ones, James Gunn and all that, sits down with them, and he's kind of a big deal. And I was saying, I got a picture with him, and I was saying, we're just small potatoes. We kind of do this as a hobby. It's a passion for us. We love the comic book media and comic books themselves. And for us, it's just a release of nerdism. And he was just like, look, just keep up with the grind. His words were so encouraging, like so positive. His energy was infectious. A really nice guy. So it was cool meeting him. But yeah, it was a little, I mean, absolute honor to be there. And I wouldn't give it up for the world because San Diego was just beautiful. The weather was incredible, but I was a little disappointed. It
So you
wasn't,
didn't spend nearly as much time at Comic Con this year as you did last year. Um, I remember chatting back with forth with you when you were texting. You were like, "Yeah, I was there for a little bit, and I'm gone already."
yeah.
Yeah. So it just there wasn't enough drawing you to the show or making you want to stay and see some. There weren't like any sessions that you were trying to get into. There was really you'd already walked the show floor, saw everything you needed to see. There wasn't any other reason to kind of be there.
Remember when we first went, we were virgins. And one of the things that shocked us was the lines for
Yeah, people
everything.
are willing to wait in line for anything, especially if it's like something that you can only get at Comic Con.
Even things that weren't you could get at Comic Con. And I'm not talking about signings. I'm not talking about panels. I'm not talking about previews. I'm just talking about a simple store on the floor. There were lines, they were waiting, and that was another big thing that really was just made it so much more crowded. There were lines not only on the side of the hall and the floor, but there were lines down the walkways. There were lines in break lines here, line coming
Did you
through.
understand what they were standing in line for?
No, no. The only thing I did is I saw this one sticker and pin that I thought was kind of cool. And I walked up to the lady because she was just sitting there. I walked up to her and I said, "How much are these pins?" She goes, "The line's back there." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me. I'm not that
Yeah.
interested." And the line was like all the way down the hallway with several lines beside it. It was crazy.
Like I said, you and I experienced that last year. And maybe when I was in my 20s or even early 30s, um, I might have been interested in those things, and they may have, been something I would have been willing to stand in line for. But you and I experienced that last year. There was nothing there that I saw that was like, oh my God, we need
Yeah.
to get that. I'm
Yeah.
going to go stand in this line of 100 people and wait for my chance to get it.
No.
I mean,
It's definitely an event though. And I will say this, I noticed a lot more by Pepco Park. They had this whole area set up with food trucks and there was a stage and there was
so
lot
there's a lot going on the other side of the train tracks this
the
year.
same with what's it called? Elementary. What's the
Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary still had their amusement park. The pirate ship was there, the Ranger beer, whatever that
Yeah.
was. And then Adult Swim had their section, and who else was it? Some of the animated shows had that whole back area still the same as it was last year. The party ship, the Hulu party ship wasn't there, but a lot of stuff was going on across near the Gaslight
District.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Gaslight area. So I walked over there and there was a lot of cool things. And then out of nowhere, and it wasn't dark, it was like during the day, but out of nowhere, like 10 motorcycles come through and they're all designed and lit up like the Tron Ares
Oh
motorcycles,
my
and
God.
they're all wearing the LED red suits and stuff. And I was like, I was so shocked and like, this is so fucking cool. I couldn't grab my phone quick enough to take any pictures,
Yeah.
but that was really cool. And that whole area, the way it was laid out was really cool. Paramount had their pop up down the
Yeah.
street, and all those things were still going on, which is really, really cool. The big things I think was um the Badlands, the Alien Badlands. That was a big hype there. and the Tron Ares did a big thing, and that was really promoted pretty well there. Really cool. I mean, those were some of the highlights for me. And then the cosplay, I think, was off the charts this
Oh
year.
yeah.
There was so many more than I felt like there were last year. Like so many more cosplay people. Like every time I turned around, I almost felt at one point I was walking through the sales pavilion to get my bag and my badge and everything. And I turned around and I was the only one not in cosplay. I
You're the
was
only
the
one not
minority.
dressed
I
up.
was the only one not dressed up, and I felt like, holy cow, where am I? And then I walked down to the Marriott Marquis, and I went to the store, and of course I went in and played a game of pinball.
Yeah.
That was really cool. They had some really good new games in there. And then there was a whole like studio of gaming events that were going on that they
Yeah.
had last year.
Yeah. Like
That was
like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering and a bunch of other things that are going on there. Yeah.
and all kinds of digital gaming
Oh
things with
yeah.
consoles set up. That was last year. I don't remember it being as packed as it
It
was
was
this
just a
year.
lot of people.
There, it was packed. And when I say it was a full, like, convention area, like, one of those big rooms at the hotel, it was massive and it was full of people,
Wow.
full of people.
Yeah.
Really cool. I hope we get in next year, and I hope that there's more of comic book
A
presence,
studio presence.
a
Yeah.
studio presence from next year. But
And
really
again,
cool.
I mean, I kind of understand a little bit why they chose to skip this year. But at the same time, I think it's a missed opportunity. And one of the things that you and I struggle with at times is um, we're working off of rumors and speculation about the future instead of the studio telling us the future directly. And while Marvel wasn't there, Kevin Feige did sit down and meet with the media right before Comic-Con to kind of talk about the future because they weren't going to be there. And so we can kind of talk about that a little bit. I mean, he did mention things like Secret Wars will be, he didn't say a reboot, but an opportunity to kind of refresh the MCU. So that was an interesting comment he made.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He didn't say reboot.
No, he said reboot it sounds like a harsh word to use. He says I would call it a refresh.
Refresh. Yeah,
And I
that makes
think
sense
that makes sense
because he's been on record saying that they are recasting some of the legacy players.
well, but I think that's a better term to use, refresh, simply because we know that there are certain individuals who will be sticking around. I
Yeah.
mean, the Fantastic Four cast will still be around, right? I mean, they're not going to be recast, and we do believe, if rumor and speculation holds true, that Benedict Cumberbatch will be back as Doctor Strange in a future movie, and that um, some of the other players that we know, like a Blade movie and other things. So people that are around now will be around still, but I do think they will be recasting a lot of the staples and potentially restarting or refreshing those franchises. I mean, as lucrative as the Iron Man franchise has been for Marvel, I don't think, I'm almost certain Robert Downey Jr. will not be back after these two movies he's doing. It would be a mistake on their part to not try to recast that role and
Agree.
start
Yeah.
anew or fresh, right?
Right.
And here's the big question that we can ask ourselves now: is that something that they try to accomplish during Secret Wars, or is it something that they do after? And we know that Secret Wars and
Oh,
Doomsday.
I think you capitalize and do it during Secret
That's
Wars,
what I'm thinking.
especially with the X-Men.
If nothing else, at least cameos
Right.
or post-credit scenes or whatever it might be.
He said, Kevin Feige has said that the X-Men will look very different and than the Fox
Well, I think it's safe
iteration.
to assume that most of Fox's X-Men characters, that the ones especially that we know are going to be in this movie, in Doomsday specifically, I have a hard time believing they will make it out of Doomsday. or many of them will. Maybe a couple of them will make their way to Secret Wars, but it would be an excellent opportunity if you are planning to recast those roles and make new movies with new actors. Why not put them in Secret Wars and make their debut as bit characters in a large movie that then kind of go into their own movie later on, right? I mean, it would just make sense. I mean,
Don't you think Chris Helmsworth though is gonna kind of transition into the next stage? Do you think he's made comments that,
well, here's what we know. We know that there are plans for a fourth Thor movie.
Yeah.
Um, and featuring, Hercules and maybe doing something around that. There have been no indications that that movie will be coming out before Secret Wars.
No.
And therefore, if it's coming out after Secret Wars, Chris Hemsworth is going to be back.
Yeah.
He hasn't made any indication that he's tired and wants to do something else. He is doing other things already. He is making other movies already. He didn't have the same mindset as Chris Evans did around, it was time for me to do something different. I think he enjoys being part of the MCU. I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, these are things we just don't know the answers to. And
I think a lot of it will be answered in Secret Wars.
yeah, again, hopefully San Diego next year, we get some of these answers, right? I mean, there's so much. And look, we've got.
I could have breakfast with Norman Reedus. Reedus, how do I say his name?
Oh,
from Daryl
Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
Yeah. He was.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't have breakfast with him. He was
having breakfast
at the same restaurant you were having breakfast.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was a big presence there as well. His show.
Yeah.
Daryl. They were promoting the hell out of that.
Yeah. I knew he had a panel at Comic-Con.
He was staying at my hotel too. I ran into him a couple of times.
Yeah, and there's rumors that he's joining the MCU, and there's all kinds of rumors out there. But
you know how bad I wanted to ask him that,
right?
But I just don't do that to celebrities.
No,
I don't do. But that was my one thing I wanted to ask him so bad. Nancy actually, my wife actually, was walking backwards taking a picture, and he like put his hand on his shoulder, was like. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She almost ran him over.
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I next year, Comic-Con will be. I can't remember. I think it's just after Spider-Man: Brand New Day comes out next year. But we do have the lead up to Doomsday, and it would just be an opportunity missed if they're not at at Comic-Con. Not only telling us about Doomsday and, maybe showing a teaser reel or whatever they're going to show, but just talking about what's happening between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Right now, there's zero plans. We do have this year, we still have D23. We still have Disney Plus Day. I mean, there's things that are happening this year where we might get some of those answers, but right now there is nothing on the schedule other than Doomsday and Secret Wars. And until we get some, and until, I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't heard much. And again, the interviews that Kevin Feige gave were ambiguous a little bit, but he did kind of just speculate that there are things coming. And he did talk about, the X-Men and the mutant saga being a big part of the post-Secret Wars plan. So, I mean, which we all assumed was going to be the case.
I'm not disappointed. I'm actually the opposite. I've been disappointed with some of these early announcements and early projections.
Well, especially if you're just going to delay it.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if all you're going to do is delay.
Works for me, man. Yeah. Don't tell us until something's written in stone.
Right. All right. Well, let's jump into one other review we have to do. So the Eyes of Wakanda animated show did come out on Disney Plus last week, and it was a 4-episode series. They dropped all 4 episodes simultaneously, so you could binge it. You could stream it, all in one seating if you wanted to, which I did. I watched it on a couple of bus rides as we were tooling around Ireland. You said you watched it and you liked it. I thought it was okay. I mean, there were parts that were entertaining. What are your thoughts of the show?
I thought the action was great. Again, animated shows I rank completely on a different ranking level than I do live action. But for an animated show, it was extremely entertaining. It was very creative. I did not like Iron Fist. I'm just a traditional guy. I did not like them, gender swapping Iron Fist. I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel.
Well, it was a previous version of the Iron Fist from, hundreds of years ago.
100 still, I don't know. For me, but those action scenes and were really cool. And the outfit that they had Iron Fist in, I thought was super cool. And the animation was great. So
Yeah, I mean, the concept of the show was there's this group of individuals, Wakandans. They're the Hatut Zaraze, which is kind of like the secret service of the.
war dogs is what they
Well,
call
they
them.
called them the War Dogs so that we didn't have to say Hatut Zaraze the whole time during the show, but they called them the War Dogs. This was like the secret service of the of Wakanda, and their whole mission was to hunt down and track down, uh,
Artifacts.
yeah, vibranium that had been lost or stolen and was in the possession of others, and
Mhm.
that was their entire reason for existence. And they were not only concerned that if that got into the wrong hands, that it could be used for bad purposes, but they wanted to protect it because they know that it was a technology that the rest of the world wasn't ready for.
Right.
Um,
Technology, vibranium,
and I
artifacts.
found it very interesting that they took the liberty to show that they were so technologically advanced, so far beyond the rest of the world that they could they could send like messages with each other,
Yeah.
and this was like in the 1600s, and it's like a little far-fetched. Um, I think the concept behind it was twofold. One, that Wakanda and Vibranium and Wakanda Vibranium had made Wakanda so advanced beyond the rest of the world that it was their duty to protect the rest of the world from their vibranium. And,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what they were doing. And ultimately, the show was leading us to the point, and again, they had 4 episodes. They were in like the Trojan War and ancient China,
Yeah.
and then the Spanish, invasion of Africa. And ultimately, the show ended up having a future version of Black Panther go back in time to replace the vibranium axe that was in the museum that Killmonger stole with Claw during the Black Panther
Right.
movie, saying that those events led the leader of Wakanda at the
T'Challa.
time,
Yeah.
T'Challa, to open Wakanda up to the rest of the world and start sharing its technology with the rest of the world, so that the Earth could defend itself against the invasion of this alien force that killed her timeline.
Right.
Um, so again,
That was kind of cool though, right?
yeah, but a little kind of out there.
Yeah.
But I think it was very cool. I think the animation style was really neat.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the characters were good. I thought it was
Some of those
entertaining.
episodes were better than What If episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for especially the last season for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, again, it was where do they go from here? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like they used that show to tie the historical events of the Wakandans to the current events of the MCU, and but I thought it
Animated
was
show.
okay.
It was
Yeah,
very entertaining.
yeah, and it's there.
Yep.
So if you want to go see it, go check it out. It's on Disney Plus. Um, News things. Just one thing I want to talk about in the news real quick before we get into our Fantastic Four review. Um, so they are now filming Spider-Man Brand New Day. They have released, and this is not leaks, they have actually released a teaser. Marvel released a teaser of the new Spider-Man suit. So they got Tom Holland walked out and in his new blue Spider-Man suit, and basically to announce that they were filming the movie. I thought the suit looked awesome.
Yes.
It's great.
How great. Are you getting Andrew Garfield vibes with
Uh,
the new spider on the front?
yeah, I mean
No
he
question.
definitely took
It had to have been the blueprint for
he
this
he,
suit.
he took what he saw the other two Spider-Man in No Way Home wearing, and used that as inspiration when
Yeah.
we saw him make the suit at the end of No Way Home. And so it seems like that's the suit that he made himself. It looks very
Oh, I think
cool.
it's way more. It's better. It's not that shiny, silky
Well, that was
blue.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it might be a couple of iterations later, but
Raised webbing. How about the eyes? The eyes are fantastic.
yeah.
They're not the big bulbous eyes that Andrew Garfield had. They're more of the eyes that he originally
Yeah,
had.
and everybody's wondering, are they going to be moving? Are they going to have the technology that they
I
had in
don't
the
know.
previous versions? Who cares at this point in time? But
It looks great.
I thought the suit looked great. It was really cool to see. They were showing some behind the scenes from the filming, which gave us a little bit of an indication of who the main villain may be, which
Right, right.
I'm excited about.
Yeah.
So we already know that Punisher is going to be in the
Inner
movie.
demons or whatever. What are,
Frank Castle,
yeah.
Punisher is going to be in the movie. We know Hulk is supposed to be in the
Yeah.
movie, and hopefully the bad Savage Hulk version of Hulk, which we believe
Come
is going to be
on.
in there.
Bring the
Um,
Hulk back savage.
but the scenes from filming have led us to believe that it's and based on the gang symbols that are on some of the trucks and things that they had in there, that Mr. Negative is
Yeah.
going to be the main villain. So I think that that's, Martin Lee is and Mr. Negative is a cool Spider-Man villain. Little bit of history, he's tied to Cloak and Dagger. Funny enough, other two comic book characters. Uh, Martin Lee, the guy who became Mr. Negative, has the ability to manipulate the Dark Force and the Light Force. Cloak is a Dark Force person, Dagger is a Light Force person, and Mr. Negative can manipulate both. They were all part of the same like experiment with a street drug that this gang was trying to create, and where all three of them survived the experiment, and then they had dark force powers, so that's how he got his powers. But he's been a Spider-Man villain now for years. I think that would be a really cool villain to introduce. We also have speculation that there's others. Um,
The Scorpion.
yeah,
That actor came out and
yeah,
said that he is in that.
yeah. He posted something on Twitter that he was filming. So yeah, I mean, if they're bringing back some of the other characters that have been in previous movies or ones that have been at least alluded to in previous movies, that'd be great.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely want it to be a street level. Like if they can do something similar to what they did in that cartoon friendly neighborhood Spider-Man where they're doing street level stuff
Yeah.
with street level villains, I think that would be awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And again,
And we're back.
and we're back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. First time I believe ever in the history of
Yep.
164 episodes that we've had a temporary interruption. Little power surge here at Casa de Estrella
Yep.
resulted in a total loss of all of our technology. But hey, we're back.
Yeah.
And I believe we were just wrapping up our discussion on the new
Mr. Negative in the Spider-Man movie. Yeah.
Spider-Man movie
Looks
and Mr.
great.
Negative. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure we're going to be learning more. Look, there's going to be a lot more leaks from the set. There's going to be a lot more insider kind of info that comes out from this movie. They're probably going to try to wrap production on this, I would think, by the fall, so they can get into post-production and start working on the special effects and everything. So, and who knows, we may even get a teaser or something dropped before the end of the year.
Unreal how open they are about not hiding things. I mean, they're doing practical effects in the streets. There's actually a rigging where he's swinging through the streets on this rigging and buildings, and some of the videos of that just get me so
I love it.
excited. I
I
do too.
I think that they've, in some ways, a lot of these movies become more and more dependent on CGI, and I'd rather them do more practical effects. I
Agree.
think it
Yeah.
looks better on the screen, right?
Yeah.
So
Kudos to them.
anyway, we're looking forward to it. So we'll see.
One little snippet of news I just want to throw in here that I did hear today. Lanterns has wrapped filming and is targeted for early 2026 release.
So we should hopefully get that early next year, which would be
Yep.
great.
Mhm.
Probably similar time frame to when Penguin came out this
Yep.
past year. Which, by the way, let's kudos to the Penguin. 11, at least 11 Emmy nominations for the Penguin.
Well deserved.
And you and I talked about it when we watched the program,
Well deserved.
that if Colin Farrell wasn't nominated for an Emmy in his role as Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin in that show. It was be a criminal offense.
No question.
He was nominated, thankfully, along with others from the show,
Yeah.
including the writers and the directors and the makeup artists. And look, that was brilliant. It was probably one of the best things we have seen this year, without question.
Oh yeah.
One of the best
Still
productions.
my favorite comic book this year, at least
TV
coming out.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was brilliant. So congratulations to the
Yeah.
Penguin. Everything. Remember you and I sitting through the panel at Comic-Con when they were previewing the show and
In
talking
Hall
about it
H.
coming out
Hmm.
in Hall H, and
We
it
were excited then.
lived up to all of the
Yeah.
expectations, and everything that Matt Reeves is doing with his
Yeah.
version of Gotham is great.
Yeah.
So
Really looking forward to Lanterns though.
yeah.
I know you are too. I think that's going to surprise
Well, I
us.
mean, I'm looking forward to see how James Gunn fills out his DC universe. I think we got the first impression of that with the Superman movie, and we got kind of the lead in or preview to the Supergirl movie that'll be coming out. Is that next year, I believe?
Yep.
Um, and then we have Peacemaker coming out here in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. I think that's going to be very good. But yeah, I want him to continue his world building, and I think he has a vision, and Lanterns is a big part of that. I think
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get to our topic of the week, our review of the Fantastic Four movie, brought to us by our friends over at Studio GG Studios.
Yes, sir.
Home of the Man Band, Carn on the Cob, Studio G. Thanks for your help. Visit them in their page. They do a lot of work for us. So if you're looking for work yourself, go visit Studio GG Studios.
Great new single they just put out on YouTube. It's a music video as well. He the band used some AI effects, and it's called Badooz, and it is absolutely a classic. Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Yep.
So their page is always linked in our show notes. Please go check them out. All right, let's talk about the Fantastic Four. So again, I was able to see it on opening weekend. You were able to see it when you got back from San Diego. It had a very successful opening weekend in regards to box office. Did approximately $117 million here domestically in the U.S.,
Yeah.
which is a very good opening weekend. I believe Superman did like 120 million, so it's very comparable to Superman's opening weekend. The one I'll say negative so far is that it had a massive drop off in the second weekend, this past weekend that we had. It was down to $40 million this past weekend, which is about a 67% drop from its opening weekend. That being said, it is doing very well internationally.
Hmm.
So even though the domestic box office did drop off substantially in its second weekend, it has done very well internationally.
How much, I mean, I know I put a little bit of weight on box office numbers. It's a good indicator of the movie. But how much weight do you personally put on box office
I
numbers
think it demonstrates a movie's sustenance. Usually when it continues
for
to
you
perform,
personally?
no, yeah. I mean, I do think it's a good indicator of a movie's abilities to sustain its success. I mean, when we had Deadpool and Wolverine last year, it was doing great numbers in week 3 and week 4,
Hmm.
even though other movies were coming out after it came out. We're not seeing that with Fantastic Four, so I wouldn't say concerned. I think that is probably just an indication of it was a good movie, but the word of mouth and the buzz about the movie is probably not as palpable and high as it was for others. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Again, it's done very well internationally. It's done about $365 million worldwide so
Hmm.
far. It will do over $500 million. And so if you look at, let's say, a $200 million budget with marketing and all, and the share that they have to give to the theaters and all this other stuff, it's going to be very profitable. I think it will probably end up right around or near or just below what Superman ends up doing in its total box office haul. So, which I think is a good
Yeah.
indicator of how each of these movies
It's
was
only
going
been
to
out
do.
2 weekends. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think it by any means is it's a failure. I think the movies that Marvel has come out with here this year, you could say Captain America: Brave New World was a colossal failure in regards to reviews and the box office returns. I think Thunderbolts was a failure in the box office only. It did better than Captain America did in the box office, but not by much. But the reviews were very favorable.
Yeah.
So while it didn't perform as well, while it performed okay in the box office, it did get a lot of good feedback from the audience, which is, I think, a better indicator of how good a movie is. But this movie will do over $500 million. You know, it's not going to be $1 billion movie like Deadpool and Wolverine was, which I don't think Marvel expected it to be.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, it is not that big of a blockbuster in just my viewing the movie. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it very much, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to see that again. Like when you and I saw Deadpool and Wolverine at Comic-Con, I could not wait to come home and watch it again with my son and whatever. I mean, it was like, I want to see this again,
Yeah.
I have, no plans to go see Fantastic Four again anytime soon. And
I'd see it in a heartbeat again.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not like rushing to like, oh, I got nothing going on. I'm gonna go see Fantastic Four again.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It was good. I thought it was, my personal opinion of the movie. I thought it was very good. Not blow me away, but very good. There were some massive highlights. I thought the casting was perfect. I thought every actor that was cast in their role played their role perfectly. They did a very good job of bringing to the screen what their character should be, and in some ways highlighting the best parts of their characters at certain times in the movie. I like the fact
Yeah.
that, Johnny Storm wasn't as womanizing and degrading as previous versions, like the Chris Evans version was.
He still had that kind of hot alien, like going after the hot alien.
Yeah, he while he was a little, he wasn't as cocky, wasn't
Correct.
as arrogant, wasn't
Correct.
as womanizing, but enough to kind of just be Johnny Storm, being a young kind of brash
You're right.
kind of guy.
I agree 100%. The casting was on point.
I thought Evan Moss Baccarat, played the Thing perfectly.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the highlights of the movie, was his portrayal as Ben Grimm. I thought he was great. Just the personality and the way that he delivered that character was awesome. I think Pedro Pascal has been in every movie and television show in Hollywood over the last 3 years. And I think it was a big ask of him to shift to become this super nerdy scientist guy. And I think he did awesome.
Yeah.
I think he, showed that he struggles emotionally, but he's way up there intellectually. And I thought he did a great job kind of playing off on both of those things. And I
had questions about that. Like,
Right,
I
me
wasn't
too.
excited about
Me too.
Pedro Pascal playing Mr.
Right,
Fantastic,
Mr.
Reed Richards.
Reed Richards with a mustache.
I thought he did a
Right.
really good job.
Right.
Right.
And I thought Vanessa Kirby did awesome. I thought she
Smoke show.
really did a great job of capturing who Sue Storm is in the movie. So
Strong,
yeah,
really well put together.
right, smart.
Smart.
Yep, she's the one who
them
negotiates the
together.
peace deals with the
Yep.
world and all kinds of other things. So the casting was perfect.
Mhm.
I thought that they did a great job with that. I love the retro 60s version, alternate version of Earth that they lived on.
The Jetsons, throwback 60s retro look throughout the whole movie was fantastic.
You know what it was? And this is what I thought of. It was if in the 1960s, people living in the 1960s tried to imagine what it would be like living in the 2020s. What would it look like?
Right.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Because those are the things like the Jetsons and other things where like they were like, well, this is what the future is going to be like. So that's exactly the world they painted.
Yeah.
Was what if people in the 60s thought what the future would look like?
Just visually stunning. The whole thing was
Oh.
visually stunning. The shots, the camera angles, the sets, Everything
They
for
they
me.
they obviously had technology at their disposal. I mean, Reed Richards is getting transmissions from space, and
Yeah,
they had, and he created a spaceship that can fly faster than the speed of light. And I mean, there's technology that's at their fingertips,
because of
but
him.
right, but they also depended upon old technology very much. I mean, when he was getting these transmissions from space, they were being recorded on a record.
Hmm.
They were being written to an actual physical LP that then Johnny Storm was taking the LP back to his room to listen on a record
Yeah,
player. And the televisions were tubes still. They weren't
yeah.
flat screens and all kinds of other things.
Yeah,
And
it was
so,
like a cassette player for Herbie, oh, this is home.
yeah,
And then they take out the cassette player in his face and put in space.
right.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that it was a great integration of technology with the 60s kind of vibe. I thought it was really well done. And I thought it made the movie, while it was a period piece, a very likable period piece, which
Oh
I
yeah.
enjoyed.
Futuristic period piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Galactus, they nailed it. They nailed Galactus. Finally.
100% the highlight for me. Like
Finally.
if you had said what was your favorite thing in this movie, I would say Galactus. And not the Silver Surfer, even though I thought she was phenomenal and they did a great job. The CGI was not as wonky as it was in those earlier clips. I thought Galactus was terrifying, ominous, huge.
The threat was real.
It was
Like
awesome.
they were scared out of their minds about this Galactus
Yeah,
dude.
I thought
And
this was a great movie.
like what they tried to do with Galactus in the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer movie was almost criminal, making it like this black
Giant
cloud, it
cloud,
was just,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah,
But to actually make Galactus and make him look exactly like he was in the comic books, and
phenomenal.
a giant being, and have him stomping through the streets of New York City. I thought it was just so well done, and again, very ominous and threatening. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I think in general, the CGI was very good. There were only a couple of minor spots that was like, yeah, you kind of almost saw it. Like they had some scenes with baby Franklin that, it's like, the baby was moving a little bit
Yeah.
differently and you can kind of tell. But overall, the CGI was pretty good.
I mean, for me, that
Ben
the
Grimm
baby Franklin
CGI was awesome.
was incredible. The baby CGI, I heard that too. A lot of people complained about that, and I compared it to the babies in The Flash. Nowhere near as
Oh, yeah.
wonky as
Yeah.
that bullshit.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fantastic. The baby, never even noticed a lot of it and did not bother me one bit.
So the one thing I'll say, well, it didn't really bother me, but the one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was their choice to use the Shala Ball version of the Silver Surfer,
Right.
and the speculation of their. Now, I think there's one obvious reason they chose to do that was because they wanted to use her in that comedic kind of relief way of Johnny Storm has a crush on her.
Hmm.
Right. And if, she's female and he thinks she's hot, that's something that, can be part of the plot of the movie is
Yeah.
that, he has this crush on this, alien. She's a smoking hot alien. Right. And
Yeah.
so that was one of the reasons why they went with a female version of Silver Surfer was for that, because that wouldn't have played if it was
It was a whole storyline within it. He
right.
was obsessed with kind of breaking down her language,
Right.
figuring out what she was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was because he was obsessed with her,
Fascinating.
which was one of the reasons why they went with that version of the character. The speculation was early on that they chose to use a female, gender bent version of the Silver Surfer that was in the comics very briefly, so that they could use the real Norrin Rad version of Silver Surfer in the MCU later on.
In a different universe. Yeah.
I have no belief or indication that that is the case at all.
Not now, you don't.
No. And so that leads me to believe that they chose to gender bend the Silver Surfer for this movie and forever, which really bothers me.
There's no way they would do it forever. Norman Rad will make an appearance in the MCU. I'll bet you right now, Norman Rad will make an appearance at some
There's
point.
no Norman Rad.
What? Norrin Rad. Okay, whatever. You know I butcher names. You get used to it. Jesus Christ, this isn't your first
Because I could have
rodeo.
won that bet very easily.
No, no. Well, yeah, of course. There will be an original Silver Surfer in the MCU at some point within. And let me make another bold prediction. I will say within the next 5 years.
So by 2030,
Yep.
we will see
If we're still
a
doing this
male
podcast
Norn Rad version of
and I'm
Silver
still
Surfer.
around.
And my speculation is that we will see the Silver Surfer again, probably sooner than we think, and it will be the same version we just saw.
Interesting. I don't think so.
And so,
If they don't, but the only reason I agree with
and
you.
what indication do you have that that's where they're going, and that's why they did this?
Dark web speculation.
Right.
But here's what I
That's
say.
everybody wishing that to be true.
I get not just wishing it. I think they cannot leave that arguably one of the most popular comic book characters in the history of comic books is the Silver Surfer. To leave him on the bench and not put him in the game would be criminal. And that's what I'm saying. They don't have
They already
the
have the
balls.
Silver Surfer.
They don't have the balls to do that. Will we see will we see this version of Silver Surfer again? Yes. And I'm praying we do, because if we do, we will see Galactus again, which was one of my favorite characters in this movie. Absolutely phenomenal.
I, at this point in time, have no reason to believe that they're going to go with a different version of the Silver
Search
Surfer.
your heart, Padawan. Search your heart.
I just
know it to be.
And
true.
again, I want that
No,
to
there's
be
no
true.
facts. There's no facts.
I want that to be true, but knowing Disney, knowing Marvel, knowing what they've been up to, and they're going to say she really tested well during the movie, and I think people gravitated towards her, and she was great. And we're going to bring her back.
You can't sideline Norrin Rad. You can't. They will bring him out at some point.
I hope
say in the next 5 years. At least in the next 5 years, we will know. We will hear something.
I hope that's true. But at this point in time, I'm very dubious.
Okay.
And again, it's just
ye of little faith. Have faith, my son.
But again, that's kind of my point here is that they had the opportunity to introduce a character in Norrin Rad that was very popular, and they chose not to. And again, was that so that they didn't waste it? I don't know. It just bothers me a little bit, and that they missed an opportunity there to introduce a character that could have been a long-term character, right?
But I get their choice, and I'm not mad at it, to be honest with you, because of exactly what you said, because of the Johnny relationship.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and I understand that would be but that's part of my other frustration is there were other versions of Heralds of Galactus that are already female that they could have chosen to use instead of the Silver Surfer. Okay?
Yeah.
They could have used others.
Well,
but they chose the Silver Surfer.
Comic, but you need to tell the audience.
Right. So that, that's, Nova, which is a different Nova. They could have done different versions. Right. So I just makes me wonder. Again, and I don't put it past Disney.
I don't either, but I have a gut feeling. I'm going with my gut on this. I have a feeling they cannot sideline, because okay, here's another thing. Who did they sideline and then they had to bring back to kind of pull them out of the depths of hell that they were spiraling into? Dr. Doom. How do you not introduce Dr. Doom as a big bad and you go with Kang instead? You know what I'm saying? So did they learn nothing from that?
But they didn't choose to do a female version of Dr. Doom and then change it to a male version of Dr. Doom.
It's not like Shia LaBeouf wasn't a real character. It's not like they gender swapped Norrin Rad.
Right.
She really was a Silver Surfer in the comics. So Let's give them a chance. I think it will. Let me switch up, Henry. What are your overall feelings about this movie?
I think it did exactly what Marvel was hoping it to do. I think they did a great job of introducing these characters, this team. I love the way that they kind of recapped their history of how they got their powers and how they were basically the saviors of the world when they came back
Yeah,
from space, and they
yeah.
they showed all these brief encounters with different villains and everything else, you
Did you
know.
like it wasn't an origin story?
Right. I like the fact they did this recap, right? You know,
Right.
they fought these guys and they fought these guys and they fought these guys.
Yeah.
I love that. This team will be a big part of Doomsday, will be a big part of Secret
Secret Wars.
Wars.
Yeah.
From what we understand, you know, Reed Richards is going to play a huge role. You know, there's speculation, obviously, now that Franklin is going to be a big part of it as well. The baby who is now a young child. So I think they did a good job of introducing the team, introducing the actors, playing the roles. So I think it accomplished everything it needed to. As far as the plot was concerned, storyline, pacing, I thought the early part of the movie was a bit slow, but once Galactus showed up, it was like perfect pacing.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
Third act was the bomb.
Yeah, the final fight scene was awesome. I
Yeah.
thought it was great. The way that they tied up the plot line of being able to kind of shoot Galactus into far reaches of space was brilliant. I
Yeah.
thought it was really well done. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a very good movie. I thought it did exactly what they wanted it to do, which
Yeah.
was show us the Fantastic Four, right?
I really like this movie a
Yeah.
lot. Do you
Did you like it more than Superman?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go on record as saying
Yeah.
yes, I did.
Yeah.
I liked it more than Superman. Now, I loved Superman. I thought Superman was great, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Professor. I'm going to drop something on you. You ready?
Yeah.
So, are you sitting down for this?
Yeah.
I like Man of Steel better than the Superman.
Yeah. After our last podcast, I actually went home that weekend
Same
and
here.
watched Man of Steel again.
Same
I
here.
was like, that movie's the bomb.
And you know what it is? It just appealed to me more, me personally.
Right.
I love James Gunn's Superman. I think it did exactly what it was. It was such a great springboard for his universe. I think it was perfect for his new universe springboarding. But if I had to choose which one was better, I will say Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah.
For me personally, Man of Steel just edges it out just a little bit. And
So what did you think of Fantastic Four? You said you really liked it. You thought so. Do you think it accomplished everything they wanted to
my biggest
accomplish?
fear with Fantastic Four was Pedro Pascal pulling off Mr. Fantastic. And I think he did that. Another biggest fear is how were they going to treat Galactus? How is that going to work out?
They killed it.
And they murdered it.
Yeah.
I think visually it was stunning. I really like this movie. I just, it might be in my top 10 all-time MCU movie.
Really?
I thought it was so impressive the way it was a standalone.
Yeah.
You really didn't need to do any homework. You really didn't need to know anything, even the comics. You really didn't need to read a lot of the comics. They explained it. They laid out the team and this first family of Marvel so well that I think it was such a great standalone. And I love the fact, just like you, I love the fact it wasn't an origin story.
At any
We
point in
didn't- we
time.
didn't
Oh,
need
by the way, we forgot to do this. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about details of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to hear things about the movie, we're going to be spoiling it. We forgot to do that. But yeah, did at any point in time you think that Sue was actually going to die?
I did not. I did not see that coming.
You didn't see you didn't see what coming, that she was going to be saved?
That she was going to die and that Franklin was going to save her.
Well, the minute that she wasn't responsive, I was like, oh, well, the baby's going to bring her back to life. I mean, I knew that. I was like, there's no way they're killing her off.
Once he put her on her chest, then I was
Yeah.
like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has that ability.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, let me ask you this. Do you think Franklin, like in the comics, will age himself up?
I don't know. So let's get into that a little bit. We're not going to go through every detail of the movie. Galactus comes to Earth. They have to fight him off. They do.
Go
very
see the
successful.
movie in the
It was very
theater.
good.
It's so great on the big screen.
Yeah, it really it was pretty visually stunning. And I'm the way that they did like the spaceship and the way that it flew through space and had that extra engine that could like get them to the far reaches of space. I thought it was just so
Ask me
well
a
done.
bigger question. Like, did I like this movie more than what? The Spider-Man No Way Home? Probably
Not.
not.
I mean, that's I'd
But
say here's a good.
Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, you
Yes.
did.
I'd like this more. I like this movie more than Deadpool and
Wow,
Wolverine.
that's a big one. Yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm giddy about this movie. I'm going to go see it again.
yeah.
So,
Well, that's good. So let's talk about the post credit scene because there were two. The second one, look, you don't really need to stay for. It was just more of a tribute to Jack Kirby and the old
it's really cool.
comics themselves and the cartoons that were out in
Yeah.
the 60s and 70s. So you don't really need to stay for the second one. The first one was a scene with Sue reading books to Franklin, and he's now 4 years old. So it was 4 years later. So
Right.
4 years after the movie, he's 4 years old. She's reading him some
Did
books.
you notice how the whole decor had kind of
Changed
changed?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the coloring different.
She goes to get another book, and then she comes back
He
and
senses something.
senses that somebody's there with him, and he's standing up, and leaning over him is a man in a green hood. Wonder who that is.
Holding the mask.
Holding a mask in one hand, and Franklin's touching his face. Um, and there's all this speculation out there now. He's using his powers to heal his face so he can take his mask off and not be scarred anymore. And I'm like, you are reaching so far. He's using the power cosmic to heal his face, which is why Robert Downey Jr. will be able to be seen without the mask on. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So this is obviously the speculation that he plays a very big role, that both Doctor Doom is obviously going to show up, but he plays a very big role in Doomsday. Um, and this kind of gets into more of how they're treating the plot of the Doomsday movie. The Jonathan Hickman run of Secret Wars, there was a character involved in that called Molecule Man. And Molecule Man was really the one responsible for merging all the worlds together and creating Battle World and maintaining Battle World, and then ultimately, he was what Doom was using or manipulating to kind of
Reality. The
make
ultimate reality changer.
yeah.
More so than Wanda, more so than Franklin.
So I think it's possible, highly possible, if not very likely, that they're going to use Franklin Richards in that role in these movies. Instead of a character we've never heard of or for no reason
Right.
would we know of in Molecule Man, they'll probably use Franklin Richards and his reality changing abilities and his power cosmic and all this other stuff. I don't know. Again, I thought the post-credit scene was fine. It really wasn't as it would have been different if he was there with Franklin and then he, picked him up and teleported away. Then it'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. It was more of where's this going from here? We know that a Fantastic Four ship makes its way to our Earth at the end of the Thunderbolts movie.
And I was hoping we would get an answer or a little
Nothing.
snippet of that.
Yep,
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
But highly likely that's how the Doomsday movie begins. Maybe they're, traversing the multiverse looking for their son,
Right.
And that was the place that they had tracked it to or whatever.
Right.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out a year and a half from now,
Right.
where that goes. But
Great movie, man.
yeah, no, I thought the movie was very good. It did exactly what I hoped it would. After the last Fantastic Four movie, which was just so bad.
Oh, that
and
was
just so it was literally just a criminal travesty.
Yeah.
In as far as comic book media is concerned. They had to get this one right. They had to do the family justice, and they did. They made them comic booky.
Yeah.
They took the Fantastic Four from the comics and made them in the movies,
Yeah.
and they showed them doing the battles that we saw in the comics. It was great, and
Yeah.
I thought that that's exactly what I hoped that they were going to do. And I think these characters are going to play massive roles in these upcoming movies.
Which they should, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they are. I agree with you, Professor. Moving forward, I think this is a great start to, and I hope they finish strong.
Me too.
Right. So let's ring the bell, Professor.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email, supertalkpodcast@outlook.com or at supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.
Corner of the man.